In this tutorial, you will be introduced to the Budget Worksheet 2.0. This overview assumes you have access to Budget Worksheets based on the permissions set up for your user in Martus. As we review the worksheet, you'll be introduced to different aspects of the format and functionality. We'll show how you can expand and collapse sections of the worksheet to help make navigating and reviewing it more efficient. We'll also discuss the reference data that you can see, which will be helpful when creating the budget. We're going to look at the tabs and drop-down lists for navigating and updating the worksheet. You'll see how you can filter by accounts and dimensions to narrow the data set down, and we'll also give an overview of the budget widget. Let's go into Martus to see the budget worksheet and discuss how to complete it. To get to the budget worksheets, you'll go to the Planner menu and select Worksheets. This will give you the list of budget worksheets you have access to. From here, we'll click Edit to begin working in the worksheet for that budget area. Notice first that we can see which budget worksheet we're working in. In my demo environment, my budget worksheet is defined by location and department. Yours, however, might be different. This is essentially the budget area we're budgeting for. At the top of the worksheet, we have a section called the Reference section. This is designed to provide you with reference data for this budget area that you can refer to in creating the budget. Actuals will display in blue, and budget will display in black. Anything in blue is drillable, assuming you have the permissions to drill down. The budget sections will be below in the worksheet. My budget section has lines pre-filled for me already. Yours, however, may not, and if that's the case, we'll soon see different ways to create budget lines. Now, there could be multiple sections in a worksheet for both the reference section and the budget section. For instance, you might have sections for income, cost of goods, and expenses in each of these. You have the ability to expand and collapse any reference or budget section by clicking on the header buttons. This allows you to see any section in summary and then utilize the Expand feature on the budget line to get reference data for just that line. We'll discuss that feature more in a little bit. This eliminates the need to scroll through a long list of data, and it makes the budget process more efficient. If you have a very long section and still need to scroll though, the column headers will remain frozen as you scroll so you can always see the months you're budgeting for. Alright, let's continue at the top and talk about the Worksheet Actions drop-down list. All actions that apply to the overall worksheet can be accessed here in a convenient central location. Notice there are several actions. First, you have the Load feature. If you come into a budget worksheet and there are no budget lines down in the budget section like I currently have, you can click Load, and the lines in the reference section where we show actuals and budget will populate below into the appropriate budget sections. This allows you to easily create budget lines based on current or historical activity for this budget area. Next is Initialize. The Initialize feature allows you to populate your budget section automatically with the amounts shown in the reference section. When you select it, you'll see you have the ability to select a mixture of actuals and budget and then increase or decrease these by a percentage. For instance, you might select actuals through June and budget for the remaining months. To increase the amounts by say 3% from the reference section, you would enter 103. And similarly, to decrease the amounts by 3%, you would enter 97. I will leave mine at 100% to copy the same amounts from the reference areas to the budget section for the same budget lines. When you're ready, click Set Values. Now you'll see the data in the reference section has been copied down to the budget section at 100%. Please refer to your budget administrator if Load and Initialize are features they would like for you to use, or if they will have budget lines preset for you to work with. Next, notice you can also zero out the worksheet. This will remove any amounts that have been budgeted in this worksheet and set all cells back to blank. Once you have completed the worksheet, you can submit and lock it, which will lock the worksheet and send an email to the approver if your organization is using approvals. If you're using a special purpose worksheet to itemize budget lines or create additional models, you can click Edit the SPW or create one if one has not already been created. If there are any global SPWs that have been created and are set to post to this worksheet, You can post these from within the worksheet. There is also an option to show applicable SPWs that would impact the worksheet. For instance, in this worksheet, you'll see there is one worksheet SPW and one global SPW that are set to post to this worksheet. You can click on the hyperlink to go to them if your user has the permissions to do so. More information on special purpose worksheets can be found in the knowledge base. Lastly, in this dropdown, you'll see the ability to export the worksheet to Excel and import updates or new lines for this budget area. Again, please check with your budget administrator for any questions on this. The user-friendly Martus Budget Worksheet is designed to simplify the budget process and provide additional features instead of working in Excel. Next, let's move to the Line Actions drop-down list. This drop-down list applies to the budget lines in this worksheet. From here, you can add new budget lines. Simply select an account and a dimension value if applicable in your setup to add new budget lines to budget for. You also have the ability to initialize by budget line. To do so, first select the line or lines by checking the box to the far right in a budget section, and then select Initialize from this dropdown. Instead of initializing the whole worksheet like we did above in the Worksheet Actions list, this would just apply to any lines you selected below in the Budget section. You'll see the same functionality as shown previously, but it would just apply the reference data to the line or lines that are selected now. With the line selected, you can also choose to adjust it. Here, you can increase or decrease amounts on that budget line by a percentage for all months, or you can pick and choose the months to apply the adjustment to. Once you've entered a percentage to increase or decrease by, click Apply. If your configuration is set up to budget by a dimension at the line level like mine is, you can choose to change the dimension on a selected line. For example, I might need to change my office supplies line to a specific project instead of 999. Again, this may not apply to your setup. And lastly, you can delete a budget line if you no longer need to budget for it. Now, at the top of the worksheet, you can see we're on the Worksheet tab. There are a few other tabs you see here. The Stats tab allows you to budget for statistical accounts if you are set up to use that feature. The Attachment tab gives you a place to upload supporting documents relative to this budget worksheet. Notice you can upload more than one file. And the Approvals tab will show you who the approvers are, the status of the worksheets, and if any comments have been left by an approver. Also at the top, you'll see the ability to filter by account and line dimensions if your configuration uses line dimensions. If you have more than one line dimension in scope, you can filter by multiple line dimensions at once, so you can focus on the specific data you need to budget. And lastly at the top, notice you have 6 options by which to view the reference data. Since I'm working on the 2023 budget, I have defaulted to show the 22 actuals plus remaining budget as my reference data. The budget administrator can set the reference default by going to Planner Setup, select the budget, and then choose Set Default Reference Data. Please note, this default only applies to the Worksheet 2.0, not the traditional worksheet. Now, let's look at more ways to fill out your budget worksheet. You can get the same reference data from above on a line-by-line basis in the Budget section as well. There is an arrow next to each line that allows you to expand the line to see the reference data just for that line. Once expanded, you can click on the Budget Widget icon to quickly populate the budget line with that reference data, or maybe use it as a starting point. Let's click on the Budget widget for 12-month trailing actuals. When you click on the Budget widget, it pulls up a separate box and gives you different options to update that particular budget line. Notice it took me directly to the adjustment type to copy existing values. Click Preview before clicking Save to apply these amounts to this budget line. I can also change that reference data and even mix and match the options. For instance, I might use the budget for a couple months instead of actuals, and then apply that by clicking Preview. If you'd like, you can adjust these values by a percentage and it will apply the adjustments to all months based on the reference data chosen here. For example, a decrease of 3% would be entered as 97, or an increase of 3% would be entered as 103. There are other adjustment types as well. The allocation adjustment lets you capture seasonality computed at a given amount that you would set, and you can select 7 different sources for reference and vary these by month as well. Notice you can make adjustments based on other frequencies also. For instance, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual. For each of these, you will enter a starting date which determines when the automatic calculation begins. Martus will then automatically spread the amount over the subsequent periods based on that frequency. You can also set an ending month for monthly, quarterly, and annual adjustment types. For example, if you would like to take an annual amount and spread it evenly across multiple months, you can enter the amount, say $22,000, and in my case here, I will spread that on an annual basis across 12 months. Let's click Preview to apply that. You can enter your notes and assumptions in the Notes fields and then use the Copy Down feature to the right or enter different notes for each month. For more information on the adjustment types, you can click on the blue question mark icon located here. Let's save these updates for this budget line. And now when we go back to the worksheet, you'll see the budget widget turn blue, which indicates there are notes for that budget line. As we hover over the amounts, you can see those notes. Another option for updating amounts here in this worksheet is to simply click on the line under any month, and it will open the cells to type in amounts. The orange X is used to cancel the changes you might have made or just exit from that line. But if you want to save the changes you typed in here, make sure to click the green Save button over to the right on this line. Let's wrap up with a few final items. An inactive account or dimension value will display with an I after the name. If you notice there are some inactive accounts or dimension values on a budget line in your worksheet, perhaps that was copied from the previous year, you won't be able to update those. You can only delete them by selecting the checkbox and choosing Delete under the Line Actions dropdown. Also, any lines with inactive accounts or dimension values that had activity or budget in the reference section will not load if you use the Load feature under Worksheet Actions. Next, if targets are being used in your budget, you will see that target at the bottom of the worksheet along with a difference to that target. You can think of a target as a baseline or a desired outcome for this budget area. As you update the budget lines in the worksheet, the gain or loss will automatically update and show you the updated difference compared to the target. If the difference is showing in black, this indicates a favorable difference. If the difference is showing in red, this would indicate an unfavorable difference compared to the target. Martus will not prevent you from submitting a budget worksheet if it's over or under the target, since there might be reasonable justification for doing so. The approver will be able to approve or deny the worksheet and leave any comments they may have. And that leads us to our last item. When you have completed filling out the budget, don't forget to submit and lock. This will lock the worksheet to prevent changes and notify the approver via email so they can come into Martus and review it. In this video, we demonstrated how to create a budget for a specific budget area defined by the Budget Worksheet. Please visit our knowledge base for more helpful articles and videos, or reach out to Martus support for assistance. Thank you for watching.